In this video, I'm going to be building an AI automation that lets you generate stunning AI models that you can dress in any clothing you like with your own designs. So I'll show you how to create the models and automatically place t-shirts on them. So if you're doing something like Printify, you can use these in your marketing to stand out from your competition. So if that sounds something you'd be interested in, let's get started. Okay, so the way this automation is going to work is you take a t-shirt design that you've got. You might be using a print-on-demand website like Printify, and you've got your design, but you're limited with those websites to the models that can wear your t-shirt. So in order to stand out from the competition, you want to create your own models any way that you like, and not many people know how to do this. So I'm going to show you how to do this in this video. There's an AI service that allows us to create any model that we like. So here's a couple of examples that I did before the video, and the service that we're going to use is called Kling AI. So we're going to create as many models as you like. Once you've created the models, we're then going to create a simple database using Airtable. Airtable, I'll show you how to build it. And then we're going to take our design and we're going to put it on that model, and then we're going to export it. And we're going to automate the whole thing using Make. So by the time we're finished, you're going to have a model wearing your t-shirt. So you can see a couple of examples here and here. So any design you like on any model that you like. So let's get started and build this automation. So the first thing that you need to do is get an account at Airtable. So airtable.com. You can just get a free account for what we're doing here. And then we're going to build out 3 tables inside this Airtable table. That was a mouthful. So create the first table and then just follow along here, and I'll show you what columns that you need to create. So in the first column here, I'm just going to edit the field and show you what it is. Call it design or design number, like a hashtag, whatever you like. It's just giving it a number so we know what design number it was, and just have an auto number field selected from the drop down, auto number. And then the next field we're going to have is a record field. So it's always good to, when you have any table in Airtable, to create a record ID. So you'll understand more about that if you're not familiar as we go and build out more automations. Having records of all of your rows in Airtable is really, really important. So this one's a formula field. So if you click formula, and then what you need to do in the drop down box here is actually type this formula just as you see it on the screen, which is record underscore ID open close parenthesis. So make sure you do that exactly like that. That's all you need to do there. These next 2 fields are actually linked records. So they're linking to the other 2 tables which we haven't created yet. So we're going to skip these 2 and come back because it won't make sense until we create the other tables that we need. This next row is going to be where we put the design. So call this mockup image, and this is an attachment. So make sure you put attachment because we're going to load automatically our final designs in here. And then finally, the last column you need here, call it mockup, and this is a single select field. And then you just need to give it 2 options to choose from. So you go add option, then you go run and mockup complete. So just create those just like I did there, and then we're going to move on and create the next table. So right next to the first table, just create a second table. And this one, the first column, just call it name, and this is just a single line of text select. So single line of text. The next column is a URL. So if we click in here and go URL, and this is a link URL, a link that we're going to be able to put the designs in. So just so you know what we're doing here is this is where the models that we create using AI, they're going to give us an image to export once we've created them. We're going to just put them straight into here. So this is our library of the models that we create. I'll just shift this over because we don't need to see that long. The next field is just another record ID. So do exactly the same as we did on the first table, create another record ID. And then finally, this last table here is another linked record. So we can do this one now. What we're going to do here, if I just click edit, you can see here that the option I've chosen is link to table 1. And so all we're doing here is saying, let's build a bridge back to table 1 so we can link these 2 together in case we need to pull data from either table. And just make sure you have allow linking to multiple records. That's all you need to do. So all this is doing is it's just saying which model is attached to which of these rows here. So we know it's just like keeping a track record of which designs went on which model. So all you need to do is just copy what I did there. And then the final table here, if you create another one, call it shirt design. And here it's just the name field is just single select, and you're just naming your t-shirts, whatever you want to name them as. So here, this Printify one here is an example. Just give it a name. This one's just called tech. And then we name it, and then do another record ID formula. And then this has got another same thing again, link to table 1. So just again, link to table 1 as a linked record, allow multiple records. So once you got those 3 tables set up, we're pretty much good to go as far as Airtable. Just go back to table 1, and then these linked records that we skipped over, all we're doing here is we just edit those fields. We're just linking to those other tables. So you can see it's a linked record, linked to shirt design. So just you can call it whatever you like. I don't know why I called that one cloth URL. Probably better to call it shirt design, but anyway, I'll leave it for now. But link to shirt design, and then this one is just simply, edit that field and link to model images. So it's just an allow link. This one's important to have allow multiple records. And the reason for that is we select the models that we want to put the t-shirts on in this table, but we might want to select more than one model. We've got one t-shirt, but we might want to put it on 2 or 3 or 4 models. So in this one, we need to have multiple selected. So that's all you need to do for now. I'm going to come back here in a moment and show you how to use this, but just get it set up. And then the next thing we need to do is we're going to create an automation in Airtable. But before we do that, we need to actually go and set up a make.com automation that's going to run this in the background. So we're going to head over to Make. So you need a make.com account to run this automation. This is how the automation looks. It's actually not a very difficult automation to set up, so we can get through this pretty quickly. So I'm going to show you the first step, then we're going to go back to Airtable, and then we're going to come back here. So there's a lot of going back and forwards while we build these automations. So first thing you need to do is you want to create a webhook. So it's a custom webhook. So create a custom webhook. So just right click, add a module, and choose this one, custom webhook. Once you've done that, click in there. Give it a name so you don't get confused with what your webhooks mean and what they're used for later. And then copy that address. Just copy it and then just get out of there and save. And then we're going to come back here in a moment, but for now just leave it as it is. And then I'm going to go back to Airtable where we're creating this. And now we have to build an automation in Airtable to connect Airtable to make.com. So the way we do that is go up to the automations tab at the top, and then we're going to create an automation. So on the bottom left, you see create automation. So click that. And then what you want to do here in this first trigger field up here, if I click on that, we want to choose when a record matches a condition, and then the configuration on the right, choose table 1, and then the conditions, choose on the drop down menu, when mockup, choose mockup is equal to run. And then that's all you need to do and click save. And then the next action step down below is run a script. So we're going to click run script. And then we actually have to create a very simple script. So if I just click edit on the right hand side, this is the script. I'm going to throw this below the video for you to copy in the description of the video so it's easy. So just copy that. But what you have to do over on the left hand side is you need to create 2 variables. So this script is running and it's going to connect to the webhook that we created in Make. So the first variable on the left we need to create is called webhook underscore URL, and make sure you type it in exactly like that or the code won't work. And then in the value field, just paste in your webhook URL that we just copied from Make. And then the other variable is record ID, and then you can just select here from there, just select, Airtable record ID there. So, and make sure no typos. It has to be exactly as it is in this script. If there's any like typos or capitalizations or anything, it won't work. So copy that, set that up, paste in your webhook. So you need to replace that one and we'll put your one in. And then you just click finish editing and then you turn it on. And so once you've done that, what's happening is if we go back over to Airtable, and let me just get back to Airtable. Oh, sorry, I'm on Airtable. Let's go back to the data view. What we're doing here is saying when I change the status in this mockup column, so if I just look at mockup column here, when I change that to run, that's going to trigger the automation. So once that triggers, that webhook's going to fire over on Make. So this webhook is then going to fire and get all the information from the Airtable row that we just triggered it from. And this is how we build a bridge between Airtable and Make. If you're finding this video helpful, leave me a comment below and let me know any automations you'd like me to build for future videos. So once you've done that, you can just trigger it once. So if I just unlink this for a moment here, so we've only got this webhook now running. If I just click run once, I'm just going to wait for new data to come through. So if I just leave that there, it's listening for any automation to fire now. So if I go again back to Airtable and I just do a quick test here and click run, that automation over at Make, that webhook will fire, and then it will pull in the record ID from that row. So there it goes there. So you can see the record ID came through, it ends in HJA. If we go back to this row, you can see that it ends in HJA. So it's pulled all the record information through. So this is how we connect the automation and get it to fire. So once you've got that stage set up, we're going to carry on now and build the rest of this automation out. So I'll just connect these back together. So I want you to just follow along as I do it, and then we'll go and run this automation, and then we'll build the models over at Kling AI when we need to. So the next module here is a get a record. So click get a record Airtable module, and then in here the configuration, you have to connect add. Make sure you go through the authentication process on the connection. Once you've connected it, you want to choose the base and the table. So if we go back to Airtable, the base is just what you call the overall table. So this is just the name of it, and these sort of subtables are the table. So it's base and table. So make sure you choose the correct table as the first table that we set up, which is we call table 1. Once you've done that, in the record ID field here, you want to map what came out of that webhook, the record ID. So just click on that and map it into that field there, and then you just click save, and that's all you need to do now. Now all this information is available for us from that record in Airtable. So now what we need to do is get some information out of the Kling AI service, and we're going to set some variables in here which are going to allow us to connect automatically to Kling AI. So first of all, I'm going to go over to Kling AI and get that set up. Then we're going to come back here and finish off this set variables module. So let's head over to Kling AI now. So what you want to do is, if you go to the home screen, you want to just do this virtual try-on API here, this $4.19. You get heaps of units out of this to use, credits out of it. So it's $4.19 to use. Go and set up and buy that. And once you've done that, you then need to go over to get API access. So I'm just going to blur some things out on the screens for privacy reasons, but if I go there now, okay. So once you're in here, go to key management on the left, and then you want to go create a new key. Okay, it's telling me I can't access more than 2, probably on the account that I've got, but I've already got 2 in here. So you'd go create a new key, and then you want to get your access key ID and then your your access key secret. You need those 2 things, and that's all we need to get out of here. So get this set up, then we're going to head back to Make, and then we're going to create this variable called set multiple variables under the tools menu. So get that set up. What we're going to do in here is there's 2 variables that we're going to set. The first one is called access key ID, and the second one is access key secret. This is where you paste in those 2 strings that you just got from Kling. So save them in here and click save. So once they're set, we can now build the next part of the automation. Now we need to add a module called Zero Code Kit. You'll need an account there, but it's a free account. You don't need to pay, but you just need to go and set up and get an account. Once you've done that, you need to connect Make to your Zero Code Kit account, which again, you just have to add the connection, go through the authentication process. And then what we're going to do in here is we're just going to paste in exactly what we see here in the requirements. So you can just paste in this as you see it, capital P, Y, J, Y, T, like that, and make sure you pay attention to case. And then in your Python code box here, I'm going to put this below the video as well, so you can just copy and paste. But you need to map a couple of modules in here. You can see in this purple fields here, they're mappable fields. What you're mapping here is what we just set up in the previous tools module. So you're mapping in access key ID and access key secret. So make sure you map those 2 fields in from the previous module. And that's all you need to do here, and click save. So this is a little bit of a workaround to get Kling AI to work without having to manually do things. But it's a little bit clunky the way Kling AI does their API calls, and you have to basically, without going into too much detail, you have to keep updating it regularly, which is annoying. But if you do this zero code kit Python code, it will create a format that allows us to avoid having to do that. So it's really quite a simple step to do. So if you just follow along, then it works perfectly. Okay, so now that you've done that, the next thing we need to do now is add an iterator module. So click add iterator, and an iterator is looking for an array. So what we want to do is map out of there. If we click on there, it's the model URL. So click model URL there as the array that it's looking for. Okay, so it needs an array. So just make sure that you don't click the field in there, the subfield, just click the top level model URL. So put that into the iterator, and then we're going to move along here, and we're going to add two more Airtable get records. So the first get record here is we're going to a same base, but this time the table is the model images. So if you go model images and the record ID that we're going to get that from the iterator that just pulled in that information from the row. So put record ID there because that's the record we need. And this is the table of model images. So what's going to happen here is it's going to go and get the record of the images of those models that we set up in that table. So if we just quickly go back, we're now pulling these URLs here from this model images. And the next module we set up, we're going to pull the actual shirt designs from this table. So that's all we're doing at the moment with these two modules here. What we're doing is we're getting our images. And then what we're going to do is an HTTP request here, and we're going to send these images, these URLs for the model and the t-shirt to Kling AI and get Kling AI to put the t-shirt on the model. So I'm going to show you how to create the AI model in a moment, but I'll just get to this step and then I'll go over to Kling AI and we'll show you how to get those URLs into your database because you wouldn't have them in there at the moment. But the next step here is similar to the previous one, but the only difference here is the table that you're pulling is shirt design. And if you click on here, the field that you're mapping is just that cloth, what I call cloth URL there. So if you map that cloth URL there. So all we're doing is getting the images that we need. So if you just get to this stage and just save where you're up to on your flow, I'll show you now how to actually get these images that we need. So if you go over to Kling, once you've got your account set up, you want to get into this view here, which is AI Virtual Try-On. So in here, what you can do is in the prompt field, you can tell it the model that you want. You can play around with this as much as you like to get the model that you're looking for and the setting that you want. It might be in an actual setting. I just put in this one, it just came up as a white background on a wall, but you can do any setting that you like, any model. You can be as creative as you want. This is the great thing about this automation is you can create the model to look exactly like you want. What age, gender, hair color, other clothing that they're wearing, the setting. So once you've done that, you can just click on the image there. And then if you just right click and just go into your browser and just click inspect the image, this is the quickest way just to get the image. You can just go in here and get the image URL exactly here, the PNG file. If you just see, you can just grab the PNG, don't get anything else other than the PNG file. And that's hosted at Kling, and then you can just go to a new browser and click paste, and then there's the image that you need. So on Airtable, if you go back to Airtable, you can just paste that image straight in there like that. So then you give it a name that you want to use. I'm not going to do this one again because I've already got this one a few times, but that's how you paste it in and then give it a name. The record ID will automatically populate, and that's all you need to do. So all your models, just paste the URL exactly how I did, as many as you'd like, in here and give them names, unique names, so that you know which one they are. And that's how you get your models. So the same thing as with your t-shirt designs. When you've got like this Printify one, when you get the actual file from Printify, just copy it, come in here and paste it. You just paste straight into that URL field. So that's how you get your designs into Airtable for the model and the t-shirt. So once you've done that, we can go back now and carry on building out this automation. So the last few steps in this automation now is we're going to do a make a request. So an HTTP module, make a request. So create that. And what we're going to do in here in the URL field, just put this exact URL like this. So it's https // and then api.klingai.com, and then then you go /v1 /images /colors with a K -virtual -try -on, exactly like that. So pause the video, put that in. The method of request is post, so make sure you choose post. And then in the headers section here, we're going to put content type just like that, and value application JSON. And then in item 2, we're going to put authorization and then just type bearer like this. And then what we're going to do is map a field here. So click map. And what you're actually mapping is the result that came out of the zero code kit. So you can see here, you just click that data field that came out of zero code kit. So just map that exactly like that. Then we're going to carry on down on the body type, click raw, and then the content type, click application JSON. And then here in the request content, this is where we tell Kling what we want it to do. So essentially we're saying, here's the model that we want to use, or models, many models, and here's the t-shirt design that we want you to put on that model. This is what this section is doing. It's communicating with Kling AI what we want it to do. So this here, just take this JSON code exactly as you see it. So I'll just put, again, I'll put below the video here for you to copy and paste, but just make sure you map your own fields in here, otherwise it won't work. So the first here in human_image, in between these quotes, what you're mapping here is what you got out of this Airtable here. So this is your the model image. So if I just click in there, you need to make sure you map the right fields, otherwise it won't work. So we're just mapping in here this URL from that module there. And then the one below it, we're mapping this one here. So you're mapping these two fields, and then you just click save. And once you've done that, the next thing we need to do is, well, at this stage, once this automation runs, this request is going to send our images over to Kling. Kling's then going to put the t-shirt on the model, and then we're going to ask for another request to bring it back again once it's finished. So what we need to do in between that is we're just going to add a sleep module. So if you go to tools and add a sleep module here, add a 60-second delay. This is an important step because it takes Kling AI, sometimes a minute to actually finish the job. So if we don't put a delay step in here, what's going to happen is this request to get it back is going to fire immediately, but it wouldn't have given Kling AI any time to do it. Now we could have done a more complex automation here, and we could have created a back-end automation where Kling sends a request back when it's finished the job. But to simplify it, you can just do this delay step to save us having to do too much of a complex automation. So if you do a delay step, then what you want to do after that is another request, HTTP, but this time it's a GET request. So it's not a POST, it's a GET. So what you want to do is copy the URL exactly how I've got it in here. But at the end of the URL, you're actually mapping in a task ID. So if you click there, the task ID you're mapping in is coming from what the first HTTP request, because it gives you the task ID that ran that request. So you need to look in this data and then that subfield data, and then you'll see task ID. So you need to map that in. What this is doing is it's posting another request to Kling, and it's saying this task ID that you just ran with this task ID number, I want to get that back now that the job's done. I want to get it back. That's all it's doing. And the header section is all the same as you did on the previous one, so you can just copy that exactly over, and that's all you need to do there. You just need to click save, obviously. And now the last step in this automation is simply getting those models wearing our t-shirts and putting them back in our Airtable. So in order to do that, we're going to add an iterator, and then an aggregator, and then an update a record Airtable module. So add an iterator, and you're just going to, it's always looking for an array. So what you're going to map is the result from that HTTP request that we just did, and you're going to be mapping in the field here exactly as you see it under task result images. So make sure you look under, whoops, I just hit that twice, just get rid of that. So you want to look under here, task result images. That's the array that you want to put in here in that iterator. Okay, so then the aggregator that we're putting in to close off this loop, so we've got one big loop happening in here, we're going to put the source as the first iterator in this flow. So if I just go back, this iterator here, use that as the source. And then if I zoom in, we're going to select URL here as the aggregated field. and then just click save. And then finally, the last module here is an update a record. So connect again to Airtable. This time it's the very first table that we created. In the record ID, it's the record ID we map is what we got out of the webhook, the original webhook that we pulled through. And what we're going to map in here is our mockup image, which is the finished image. So if you look here, it's what we just pulled from this array aggregator. It's this array here. So this is the one that we want. This is going to have all of our completed images that we want. And then the last thing we want to do in here is on this mockup field here, turn mapping off. And then from the drop down, just choose mockup complete. So what's happening here, click save, is once it's done this and it's finished, it's telling Airtable, if we go back to Airtable, it's saying it's going to first of all put our images in the mockup images. When it's finished, it's going to put these images in here for us. And then it's going to change the status from run to run complete, to mockup complete rather, so that we know that that one's completed. So that's all you need to do to run this automation. So now you can have any model you like wearing any t-shirt that you create. So what we're going to do is just do a quick run through now to show you how to operate this. So if I go back to the automation, I'm going to turn the automation on, and then I'm going to pause the video because there's going to be this delay step that's going to wait a couple of minutes. So I'll get it to start running, then I'm going to pause the video and wait for those delays, and then we're going to see the final images in our Airtable. So in order to run this automation, all I've got to do here is choose which models that I want to use. So for this example, I'm going to use the one shirt design I've got there. You might have multiple designs that you can choose, but choose one. And then you choose the models, so you just click in here, and if you've got multiple models, they'll all be here for you to choose from. So you can just choose whichever ones you want. And then we're going to change that status back to nothing, and now we can run it. So if I click run here now, everything should fire, and this webhook should fire and run this complete automation. So I'll wait for the webhook to start. You'll see it firing down here. Here it goes now. And then now it's sending the request to Kling, and now it's at the delay step. So I'll just pause the video while this is waiting, because the request has been sent to Kling AI. Now we're just putting a delay, and then we're going to request to get those finished images back. So I'll pause the video now and wait for this to come back through. Okay, so as you can see here, the automation's gone through, and if we go back to Airtable, we can see in here that if we click into the models wearing the t-shirts, so there's the model there, and there's another model there that I chose to wear those t-shirts. And again, you can come up with any models you like and put your t-shirts on them to stand out from the crowd. So in future videos, I can also show you how to automatically create designs using AI as well for the actual t-shirts. So if you want stuff like that, just let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate a comment, a thumbs up, and a subscribe. And thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.